Ha ha. I remembered to hit record this time. I got into this and then went, I don't think I hit record. Nope, I had totally forgotten. I've done this in the past. Dude, I need to get better about it. I need to have something on like a tap, you know? Anyway, so this video hopefully won't be too terribly long. And I'm noticing I got this weird hair thing going. Anyway, um, I want to discuss the discussions and group stuff. So, discussions. We are now doing 2 week long discussions. With that, if you recall, I changed the rubric. I made this announcement. I told you, posted a video, told you to look at the rubric. The video, I even showed you the rubric. I covered it. Some of you still seem confused, apparently, or don't care. I'm really not sure which it is. So I wanted to cover that and talk about what the discussion was and about the discussion that's open for week 13. Now, grading. If you did not actually look at the rubric and you're just like, I know how to do discussions, your grade got hurt a lot. You need to remember for this class, our week ends Friday at 10 p.m. I keep doing my best to make that crystal clear. And the reason I say that is because for the grading rubric, you have to post 2 times in week 1, 2 times in week 2. That means you have to post 2 different days on week 1, including the fact that the weekend's Friday at 10 p.m. So if you wait to do your first post until Friday, you have not posted twice that week. That means you're going to lose some points. I know some people don't care, but some people I think were actually trying, and they posted on Friday and Saturday, and then I saw them post multiple times the following week. You lost points because that was not 2 different days on the first week. I tried really hard to make that clear in the original video. So I'm just reiterating it now. Please try moving forward to post more than just Friday on that first week so you can get the points. Because if you're trying, I want you to get those points. And so if it was just misinformation, I'm trying to clarify. If you truly don't care, that's on you. Let's see. Other parts is about critical thinking and personal thoughts and opinions, backing them up, proper sources. Don't use Wikipedia. So let me first say that about Wikipedia. On the grading rubric, there are 2 locations where you will lose points for using Wikipedia as a source. Since it took me a while to grade that discussion that I'm talking about, well, I've only graded one so far because the other one is about to end. If you use Wikipedia as a source, I only took off on 1 section. I didn't make you lose points on 2. Moving forward, I will. Wikipedia is not a valid source. If you wish to go to Wikipedia, go to the bottom of the page and pick a valid source from their references, I have no problem with that. I'll never even know. But do not use Wikipedia as a source. Critical thinking and personal thoughts and opinions. For some reason, this seems to be the hardest part for so many people. And I find that very, very sad. I know that a lot of people are not used to thinking. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean, they have gotten so used to just parroting what they've heard or seen, and they never really thought the whole thing through. A lot of people have been raised to not discuss politics, religion, or money. I challenge everybody to discuss all of them because that's the only way we will actually learn, understand, and have proper change. And when you refuse to talk about these things, unless you are in people who think exactly the same as you're never going to learn anything. And that's what I'm trying to counter here. So even if you feel like you're the only person who feels the way you do, you throw it out there. And it's amazing when you do that, you'll find you're not alone. Now, does that mean you will also be reading things that you don't agree with? Yes. Yes, you will. And that's okay, because chances are, if you actually read with an open mind, you might learn something. And that's what this whole thing is for. If you do not discuss politics with people who don't agree with you, you will never understand anything. The US is supposed to be a democracy. Part of being a democracy is actually trying to represent all the people. That is why we have the bipartisan system. We are supposed to have people who are on one side and the other, and they converse to make sure that everybody is represented, not just one side. That's the beauty of what we're supposed to be. And you can't have that if you're not willing to talk. Critical thinking means you look at what you've read, you think about it, you research it, you think about it again, and then you go, huh, does that make sense? I'm going to be giving examples of that as I discuss the previous discussion. Um, Personal thoughts and opinions. Some of you still not putting it in there like at all, at all. That's a problem. That's the number one thing I want from you. Again, you might have been told not to talk politics. This is a government class. We have to talk politics. That's literally the entire thing. I don't believe in sitting there and just having everybody act like they're 100% bias free. We all have opinions. Time to own it. They are nothing to be ashamed of. If you are ashamed of your opinion, then maybe it's not really good, and maybe revisit that. If you are afraid to tell somebody what you think, maybe take a look at why you're afraid to say it. And I mean, take a real good look. If you're afraid to say what you feel and what you believe because you think someone's going to attack you, why do you think they would attack you? What would they be attacking you for? If I said, I'm going to keep this unbelievably basic, if I thought by going up and saying, I believe the color green is the best color in the world, and I'm afraid to tell somebody that because I think somebody is going to tell me I am a horrible human being for liking the color green, I need to go, okay, is there something offensive about the color green that I haven't thought about? I would then have to sit there and look at the color green from every possible angle and then go, okay, I don't see how the color green is offensive. I then ask the person, why do you think I'm a horrible person for liking the color green? And then that person can say something like, I think you're a horrible person for liking the color green because the color green represents algae, where if there's an overabundance of it, it chokes out all of the living creatures in that pond. Okay. So at this point, that means that person thinks I'm bad because I like something that's killing something. At which point I go, but that's not all that the color green is. The color green is also the color of life, like leaves on a tree. At which point that person can go, I see what you mean. But, and then you have a discussion. And then you either decide maybe the color green is not the best color on the planet, or you decide, the other person decides, oh, maybe people who like the color green are not horrible. But you will never understand if you just, poof, no. And that's the problem. When you won't discuss things, you can't learn. When you won't discuss things, other people can't learn. You have to be willing to listen, actually listen, not just let somebody talk so you can plan your counterattack, but actually listen to the other person. That's why I stress so hard your thoughts and opinions in these posts. You are to say what you think and what you feel and why. If you notice, everything I put in here says, and give examples and give reasons and provide sources, because you have to back it up. even as a small child, because I said so, never worked for me. It still doesn't. And yes, I had legit arguments with my own parents as a small child because telling me to do something and saying because I said so when I asked the reason never worked. I was not being disrespectful. My brain requires a reason. Once my parents realized that you basically couldn't bully me into it, they then would actually explain it. And I had zero problem following directions, but I need to know why. And I think if more people did that, it would be a little bit better because then we wouldn't be in the situation we currently are. Which brings me to last week's discussion. Well, I shouldn't say this last week, the last discussion, because it spanned 2 weeks. The last discussion is about the government shutdown, which is still happening now. And what I did was I said here, I pointed out that the government shut down. I provided a few news articles. I told you to research more. I then said, you need to discuss what a shutdown means, why we are currently shut down, discuss some of the topics the sides cannot agree upon, what the president's job is during a shutdown, and your educated personal opinions. Be crystal clear as to your personal thoughts here. And then I said I would love to see you discuss the topics holding things up, like the different healthcare sides. And then I reminded you about following the new rubric. So, what happened with this discussion? Wow. Some of you, bang up job. A lot of you, not so much. We had a lot of people who just phoned it in again. That hurt your grade a lot. These discussions are now each worth half a letter grade. They're worth 50 points. You can't just phone it in at this point. You can't. So what I did here was I wanted specific things. I told you specific things. Some people misunderstood, I'm guessing, and they didn't research it more. You got feedback about this. I specified why are we shut down, and then I specified what are some topics. We are shut down because the two sides cannot agree. They are not sitting down at the table to discuss. Legit, that is their job. At least 60 people have to vote to pass something. And that is why we're shut down, is because they cannot agree. More so, one group has been sitting there showing up constantly saying, let's sit and talk. The other side won't show up. I'm not even gonna hem and haw around this. Democrats are showing up saying, let's discuss this. Republicans are not coming to the table. The president's job, legit, the president's job is to help make the compromise happen. The president of the United States during a shutdown is supposed to tell both parties, let's sit down and talk. What is currently happening is the Democrats are saying, come on, let's talk. The Republican side, including the president of the United States, who has straight up said it's a waste of time, is refusing to talk. They are saying, basically, back down, stop this shutdown, agree with us, and then we'll talk. But that's not the way the government is supposed to work. It is supposed to be that they come to a compromise. The only reason we are in a shutdown is because both parties are not talking to each other. It is not those Dems, blah, blah, blah. They legit, look it up, have been sitting there saying, let's talk, let's talk, let's talk. Republicans do not want to come to the table. Republicans are saying, stop the shutdown and then we'll talk. But that is not how our government is set up to run. Our government is set up to run that they have to both Compromise. It's not one or the other. A moment ago, I talked about the bipartisan thing. Literally, how we are run. We are supposed to be represented by both sides. The reason it is 60 is because the bill is supposed to be good enough for all of our people, everybody in the US, that some people from one side will agree with some people from the other side. It is never supposed to be only one side, ever. That is never the way it was set up, because that is not a democracy. So if we are a democracy, we are supposed to conduct ourselves as a democracy, which is both parties come to the table and discuss. They compromise. A compromise means both parties give something up, not only one. And if you are in a case where somebody told you to give them everything and then they'll talk to you, would you trust them? That's the question. So while a lot of people said the shutdown is because of healthcare, yes and no. That's one of the topics, but that's not why we are in a shutdown. We are in a shutdown because the two sides will not sit down and talk to each other and come to a compromise. That is why we're in a shutdown, in the longest shutdown in history. Fun fact, the second longest shutdown in history was in Trump's previous term. I found that interesting. I just found that out like a couple of days ago. But that was our other longest one, which was 35 days. So this is our longest in history. And Trump is wanting to end the filibuster. If you have heard this, the filibuster is what I was just talking about, where 60 have to vote, minimum of 60, which again is there to try to make sure that both sides are represented. The country is not supposed to be an us versus them. It's supposed to be a we. The entire United States is supposed to be, we are the United States. By trying to force one side over the other, we have lost that united part. And that's a problem. So let's now talk about that healthcare part, the Affordable Health Care Act. Yes, I will get frustrated anytime anybody calls it Obamacare, because it is called the Affordable Health Care Act. That's what it is. I rely on the Affordable Health Care Act for my insurance. And that is legit the only way I've been able to afford health insurance for like a decade. I need that. Most Americans need this. A lot of people have jobs, like talk to the different college professors. So many colleges will not hire you full time. I have legit 6 jobs, 6. All of them are part time. I can't get insurance through a job. This is the only way I can get insurance. And what's being said is not actual. And this is where that critical thinking comes into play. A lot of people even said it in their posts that the fight is because the Democrats want to give health insurance to undocumented immigrants. That is false. Undocumented immigrants have no number. They can't apply. They can't receive anything. Undocumented immigrants means they are not documented. They do not have a social security number. They do not have a tax ID payment number. They cannot receive health care like that. They cannot receive social security. They cannot receive food stamps. They cannot receive any of those things that people keep saying are going to the undocumented immigrants. The only health care an undocumented immigrant can get is the emergency health care, like going to an emergency room and they help them. That's it. And that has nothing to do with the Affordable Health Care Act. Nothing whatsoever. Affordable Health Care Act is for Americans, period. It is for people who have a social security number. And so this whole pointing the finger, saying those people don't deserve anything, is a lie. We're going to just totally ignore the fact that we have an entire group of people who are saying that other humans don't deserve human rights. We're going to ignore that fact, which is one that makes me a little nauseous. We're going to look at just the facts. Affordable Health Care Act is for Americans, period. It's for the Americans who cannot afford anything else. Food stamps are for Americans who cannot afford food. Social Security, it's your own money, period. You've paid into it. It is not the government's money. It is ages ago, the government said, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people who don't have retirement. We are going to hold on to stuff from your paycheck, keep it safe. So when you get to retirement age, you get your money back. It is your money. Every time Social Security is taken out of your check, it is to go into an account for you when you get older. Government has been dipping into it. That's where the problem is. So it's basically like if you had your own savings account and you're letting the government go in there and borrow from your savings account, and then they say somebody else is taking it. It's a lie. Social Security is your own money. If you didn't pay into it, you can't get it. That's one of the big issues. No undocumented immigrant is taking the Social Security. You have people who are living here legally, working here legally, paying taxes who don't receive any benefits. I've had students that fell under this category. So this, again, ignoring the fact that a whole group of people are saying other human beings don't matter. We're looking at just the actual facts. They're not taking any of that to begin with. So you have people who would rather cut money from the lowest part of the Americans, those of us who can't afford. Why? So please educate yourself. Don't just go by what you saw on TikTok or a quick little blurb. This is why at the beginning of the term, I said if you are a Democrat, you need to also look at the Republican side. If you are a Republican, you have to look at the Democrat side. I showed you a news site to go to so you could try to go as center as possible. I recommended look at the right, the left, and the center. Read multiple sources. Educate yourself so you can truly think. Now, if I say all of this and you still 100% believe that it is okay to cut health care for Americans, that's your priority. All right, that's your prerogative, not priority, your prerogative. If you truly believe it's the right thing, own it, stand up for it, say why. That's what you have to do. Will you be agreeing with me? No. Is that okay? Yes, because I don't expect everybody to agree with me, but you need to think. And that is what has been sorely missing from a lot of these things is the actual thought. So instead of just looking at it as a grade and copy, paste, search, copy, paste, answer, read what I give you. Think about it. Put your all into it. Tell me what you think and feel. That is part of your grade. When you're showing thought, I need to see critical thinking. If you just say something like, I am a Trump supporter, so everything he does is good, there is no thinking involved there. Is it okay if you truly believe it's okay? Yeah, because again, that's your opinion. You are entitled to your opinion. I will fight tooth and nail for you to be valid and allowed to have your own opinion. But you have to have thought it out. If it's because you truly believe that some people are better than other people, say it. Do not hide behind anything else. Just say it and then own it. That's what I'm asking for. Is it hard to just straight up say your opinion and back up your opinion? Yes. But if more people did it, we would learn. Because I guarantee you, some people who may or may not watch this video, well, I guess you'd have to watch this video to do it. So some people who watch this video might get very irritated at me. They might be very angry about what I said, but hopefully they will then actually look up the facts of what I said about the Affordable Health Care Act. And then that may or may not change their mind about who's actually using this. The only way you're going to learn is to talk and to listen. And when you're listening, you need to actually listen, not just sit there and let them talk so you can pick up some points, so you can have a better fight, so then you can, win the argument. This is not about winning an argument. This is about educating everybody and you using your own brain. That is key. I know I just totally went off. There was another point I was planning to make and I lost myself and I'm so sorry. So the other thing I want to do is tell you about the discussion that opens this week, week 13. Yes, I skipped over week 11 because that's just to prep you for something else. So week 13, our discussion here is all about your project. A lot of people have been ignoring this project. That's a problem. So what I want you to do here is discussion 13. Share with people about your ideas from this project. Help each other understand the definitions. Discuss ideas. But the big thing is make sure to dissect how the United States of America is governed and state which of the governing styles best describe the USA as of October and November of 2025. Make sure to share examples and such. Also, it may help all if you discuss propaganda and how and why it is used and provide examples. And then I finish it with, let's see how much of a critical thinker you can be. That personal thoughts and critical thinker is key here. Key. The more you discuss about this project, the easier the project's going to be. Also, in the week details, I have another comment about the group project. Make sure to read it. I'm not saying it here. You have to read it. The critical thinking has to do with how the United States of America is currently being run. And we all know that on paper, the United States of America is a democracy. An example, if you want to say it is still being run as a democracy, would be the elections we just had November 4th. We had elections, things changed, and that is evidence of a democracy. We also have evidence of other kinds of governing styles. You need to look at them all. That's what you're going to be discussing. Are some people going to get mad? Probably. Are people going to be able to actually stretch their brains to really look at what's happening? I hope so. Because that's the point of this, is to take a good critical look at what is happening. Propaganda. Take a look. Like, seriously, you can look at historical propaganda from other countries, but you have to include the propaganda here in the United States. Every single country has propaganda. Every one of them. That's just part of politics. That's part of governing. You need to start looking at the ones for here so you can recognize them for what they are. Providing examples, key. I have a couple that I may or may not be posting for you guys. I'm kind of curious what you're going to come up with. But there's a couple that have been coming up in the news lately that I find worrisome. And so I might include, but I would like to see where you go with this. Is this discussion going to upset some people? Probably. That's life, right? But if you actually do this correctly, it should make your project a lot easier, even if you have crappy group members, which is the reminder, dude, everybody's in a group. If you have not been active in your group, you're screwed. You have time to start making it up, but your grade is already being affected. And so you're going to have to bust butt to get caught up. And again, make sure to look in the week 13 details where I have a very special message about this group stuff. I think that's it. I feel like there was something else, but I don't remember anything else. And so that's good. And again, if you need to contact me about anything, make sure you actually email me to the email address that's in the syllabus, not through Brightspace, but email. That's how you will reach me the quickest. All right. And that is it. And peace out.